Hello dear students, today we are going to learn a clinical vignette on acute exacerbation of COPD. This is a very important topic for USMLE, NEET, PG and INI-CET examination. So come to the clinical vignette. A 68-year-old male COPD patient presents to the emergency department with the 3-day history of progressively worsening shortness of breath, increased frequency of cough and change in the sputum from clear to thick yellow-green sputum. He has 45 pack year smoking history and use of bronchodilator inhalers. On physical examination, he is sitting in tripod position and appears in moderate respiratory distress. His temperature is increased 100.4 degree Fahrenheit or 38 degree centigrade. Blood pressure is 145 by 85 millimeter of mercury. Heart rate is also increased with increased respiratory rate, and his saturation is going down 85% on room air. He is using accessory muscles of respiration. Chest auscultation shows prolonged expiratory phase of breathing, diffuse decreased breath sounds, and bilateral expiratory wheezing. So this clinical history suggests 3 clinical symptoms are there, which are the classical sign of acute exacerbation of COPD. First is increased shortness of breath or increased dyspnea. Second is the increased cough frequency, and third one is the change in the character of sputum. So these are the 3 signs of acute exacerbation of COPD. In this case, what is the most likely the cause of acute exacerbation of COPD? Because he is having fever, so maybe the underlying infection is there. Let's see further. Now investigation, ABG showing the pH of 7.28, it is reduced. That means he is having acidosis. PaCO2 is increased, PaO2 is reduced, and bicarbonate is increased. So pH, first we have to see the pH. pH is low, that means it is acidosis. Next we have to see the bicarbs. If it is going in the same direction as the pH, then it is the metabolic. If it is going in the opposite direction, then it is respiratory. So it is going the up, it is opposite direction, so it is not the primary cause of the acidosis. And PaCO2, it is the cause of acidosis because it is increased and generating the acid, and this is the cause of acidosis, and this acidosis is respiratory acidosis. Now come to the MCQs. In the first question, based on the patient's presentation, what is the most likely trigger of the current episode? The current episode, as we have seen that he is having fever and change in the color of the sputum from the clear sputum to yellow green, then it is most likely that he is having an infection. Most likely the upper respiratory tract infections, maybe viral infections are very common. Viral including the rhinovirus infection and respiratory syncytial virus, and bacterial infections also very common in COPD patients. So the correct answer would be the viral upper respiratory tract infection. Choice A is acute MI. Acute MI presents with the chest pain and increase trop I and ECG changes. So no history of such things. Pulmonary embolism present with the severe respiratory distress with no change in the sputum color, but it can also present and it can be the trigger of COPD exacerbation, and it has to be ruled out with CT angiography if there is clinically suspecting the possibility of pulmonary embolism. In this case, increased D-dimer levels helps in the suggesting the diagnosis, and absence of fever will be there. Non-compliance of inhaled corticosteroids. He was not taking inhaled corticosteroids, he was taking the bronchodilators, but there is no history of any non-compliance. And choice E, spontaneous pneumothorax, caused the sudden dyspnea with unilateral decreased breath sounds, not bilateral wheeze and a pulmonary sputum. So the correct answer is C, viral upper respiratory tract infection. Come to the next question. Which of the following best describes this patient's acid-base status? The ABG shows pH of 7.28, that is low. It is suggestive of acidemia or acidosis. PCO2 of 68 millimeters of mercury. This is favoring the respiratory cause of the acidosis. PaO2 is low. Bicarb is high, which is 31. So the patient has acidemia and the primary cause is respiratory acidosis. Bicarbonate is also high, which means the kidney have already compensated, suggesting the chronic CO2 retention. Option A, uncompensated acute respiratory acidosis, is wrong because bicarbonate is elevated. So compensation is there, but acidosis is still present, so it is not completely compensated. Option B, fully compensated chronic respiratory acidosis, is wrong because the pH is still low. Option C, acute on chronic respiratory acidosis, is correct because COPD causes the chronic CO2 retention with renal bicarbonate retention, and during the acute exacerbation of COPD, CO2 rises further in a short period of time, and for that kidney cannot compensate so fast, so pH drops further. So this is the correct option, acute on chronic respiratory acidosis. Option D, mixed respiratory acidosis and metabolic acidosis, is wrong because bicarbonate is not low. So this is not the metabolic acidosis, it is the respiratory acidosis. Option E, compensated metabolic alkalosis, is wrong because the primary abnormality is high CO2, which is causing the acidemia. It is not the cause of it is not the metabolic alkalosis. There is no alkalosis, there is acidosis. So the answer is C, acute on chronic respiratory acidosis. Now come to the next question. The patient is placed on supplemental oxygen. Which of the following best explain why the target oxygen saturation in this patient should be strictly maintained between 88 and 92%? In this question, why oxygen saturation in acute COPD should be kept between 88% and 92%? The correct answer is option B. Supplemental oxygen worsens the VQ mismatch and increases the held-in effect. In COPD patients, some alveoli are poorly ventilated, which causes the local hypoxic pulmonary vasoconstriction in those alveoli which are already hypoventilated, meaning blood is diverted away from the poorly ventilated alveoli towards the better ventilated alveoli. If we give excessive oxygen, this protective vasoconstriction is removed. As a result, more blood flows to the poorly ventilated alveoli where CO2 cannot be removed properly. This worsens the ventilation perfusion mismatch, and it further increases the PaCO2 levels. And the second mechanism in this context is the held-in effect. When hemoglobin becomes more oxygenated, it carries less CO2, so more CO2 is released into the blood. And both mechanism increases CO2 retention, and this can worsen the respiratory acidosis further. Therefore, in COPD exacerbation, oxygen is not avoided, but it is given in a controlled manner. targeting the SpO2 of 88 to 92%. This is a very important concept for the USMLE, NEET, PG, INI-CET. So remember, we have to keep the SpO2 level on the lower normal side, and this is because to prevent the shunting of blood from the already hypoventilated alveoli to the normal ventilated alveoli, and to prevent the Haldane effect. In old teaching, the higher saturation suppresses the peripheral chemoreceptor respiratory drive was the correct answer, but this is not true nowadays. The correct answer is B, because it is the main mechanism. This other options, high levels of oxygen trigger the acute bronchospasm. It is incorrect, because oxygen does not cause acute bronchospasm. And oxygen toxicity directly damages the alveolar capillary membrane. No. High oxygen levels induce rapid metabolism of endogenous bicarbonate. It is also wrong option. So come to the next question. The fourth question asks about the next step in the management. After come to the next question. Given the patient's ABG results and clinical state, which of the following is most appropriate next step in the management after initiating the bronchodilators and systemic glucocorticoids? So, the main step in the management of such patients with high CO2 concentration and acidosis and increased work of breathing, because he was using the accessory muscles of respiration, he was tachypneic and tachycardiac. The most important step is the use of non-invasive ventilation, or BiPAP or NIV, because it clears the excess CO2 out and helps in the correcting of the acidosis. Immediate endotracheal intubation currently is not required if the patient is hemodynamically stable and conscious and able to tolerate the NIV support. High flow nasal cannula may improve oxygenation, but in COPD with hypercapnic respiratory acidosis, BiPAP is preferred. Option D is wrong, because it has limited benefit and significant toxicity. Option E, chest tube thoracostomy, is used for pneumothorax, not for the COPD cases. Come to the next question. If a histopathological sample of this patient's upper lung lobe were examined, which of the following finding would most likely be observed? So in this case, if we take the sample from the upper lobe of the lung, then it would show the destruction of alveoli and changes like emphysema like changes. If we take the sample from the bronchi, then it would show the changes of chronic bronchitis. So these two are different things. In this question, they are taking sample from the upper lung lobes, so it will show emphysema like changes in the with the destruction of alveoli. Option A is correct option, and the option B, hypertrophy of submucosal glands and read index of more than 0.5, it is suggestive of chronic bronchitis. Read index is the ratio of thickness of submucosal gland upon the thickness of bronchial wall from epithelium to the cartilage. So this is the ratio. If it is more than 0.5, then it suggests the submucosal hypertrophy, and it favors the diagnosis of chronic bronchitis. Non-caseating granuloma with multinucleate giant cell. It is seen in sarcoidosis. Uniform pan-acinar destruction of alveoli. It will be seen in alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, not in the case of chronic smokers. And permanent dilatation of bronchi with severe transmural inflammation. This is the bronchiectasis, not the emphysema. What are the take-home messages? COPD presents with the cardinal manifestations like worsening of dyspnea, change in the sputum volume, character, and purulence, and increased cough. Oxygen target should be 88 to 92% to prevent worsening hypercapnia via VQ mismatch and held-in effect. BiPAP support is the main step for the treatment of acute exacerbation of COPD if acute respiratory acidosis is present due to the hypercapnia, and uh, and the indications for the mechanical ventilation and intubation are the respiratory arrest, GCS less than 8, and pH less than 7.2 with worsening hypercapnia despite the use of NIV, persistent respiratory rate and increased work of breathing, refractory hypoxemia, hemodynamic instability, shock, and NIV intolerance or failure. Pharmacotherapy includes the use of bronchodilators, systemic corticosteroids, and targeted antibiotics. Most common trigger is viral infections, especially the rhinovirus infection. So this is all for today. Thank you.